What's going on, bottom line viewers? And just to get right into it, I'm going to discuss the end of the Patriots dynasty, the Brady versus Belichick article, the Rob Kraft and divide between the Patriots organization. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. The whole Jimmy G situation, the Alex Guerrero situation, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Rob Kraft. I don't know where to start. So I'm here. I went live. Typically, I would do a video like this just by myself, and then I would post it, and it would be a rant or whatever. I wanted to get your guys' questions because I feel like I am a Patriots fan. I feel like I am supposed to represent Pat's Nation here on YouTube. So I feel like I should be here to talk with you guys, not just talk to the mic or talk to the camera. So if you guys have questions, I'm here to try and give you my best answer. Now, I don't know what's going on. ESPN doesn't know what's going on. The Patriots barely know what's going on. The only people that know what's going on in this whole situation is Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, and Bill Belichick. If you think anybody else knows what's going on, you are being misled or you're just dumb. Nobody knows what's going on besides these three men, okay? Maybe Alex Guerrero, maybe Brady is giving him some information, maybe, but only those three guys actually know what's going on. So first, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this, if you haven't heard yet, there was an article posted by Seth Wickersham, I believe his name is. He's an ESPN writer. I've seen a couple of his articles before. He's written about the Patriots before. He is an ESPN writer, pretty respected by his peers on ESPN, and he discussed this whole situation, this whole Brady Patriots drama. It's titled "For Kraft, Brady, and Belichick, Is This the Beginning of the End?" Very interesting title there. So basically, it discusses the whole rift between the Patriots organization. Is Brady angry at Belichick? Is Belichick angry at Kraft? Is Kraft defending Brady? What was the decision behind Jimmy Garoppolo? And that's where I'm going to start. A lot of people feel like this is all happening because of the Jimmy G trade. I think that everybody is starting to take a look at this situation because of the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, because of the trade, because a lot of people feel that Jimmy Garoppolo shouldn't have been traded, that Jimmy Garoppolo shouldn't have gone for a second-round pick, that he should have been the Patriots' future, that he should have been the Patriots' starting quarterback for the next 10 years. Okay, so that's where it all starts. If there was no Jimmy G trade, if Jimmy G was still on the team, this situation, this article would not exist. ESPN would have nothing to go off of. There would be no rift, okay? It would just be, oh, it's the Patriots. They're on a bye, blah, 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 blah. There's also, because of the rumors and the speculation that Patricia and McDaniels are going to leave and that they're going to now become head coaches of their own, that there is speculation that Bill Belichick all along was screwing over Rob Kraft and that Rob Kraft was defending Tom Brady to keep Tom Brady and trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tom Brady was trying to force Jimmy G out the door, and all this garbage about that ESPN goes on to talk about that I'll discuss. So there's the whole situation between Kraft and Belichick wanting to move on from Brady and to keep Jimmy Garoppolo as the starting quarterback. There's also the situation of the Brady becoming a different person because of his business decisions and because of the whole Alex Guerrero situation. So there's all of that. There's so many different directions to go. But I think where this all starts is this all starts with Jimmy Garoppolo, like I said. So what the Patriots probably should have done in a lot of people's eyes was that they should have traded Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason. If they were going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, they should have traded him in the offseason to get maximum value for the player. Now, why I thought they traded him at the trade deadline initially was because I believed that they wanted to see if Jimmy G or if Brady was still a good quarterback. I know that's crazy to say after he made an amazing comeback. It was 28-3 in the Super Bowl. We all know the story. He comes back. He's historic, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we all know the story, right? But Brady coming into the season was 40 years old. So in my mind, what Belichick was doing was seeing, okay, how is Brady in the training camp? How is Brady in the first few weeks of the season? Can he sustain another season? How does he look? How many more years can we get out of him? And in my mind, as a logical football fan and as a logical Patriots fan, I sit here and I look at that decision and I say, okay, they traded Jimmy. They waited to trade him because they wanted to see if Brady still had a couple of years left. And he does have a couple of years left. If you watched him, he's up for the MVP. He's probably going to win the MVP award. That means that Brady is still going to have a couple of years left. He's playing at an elite level. So I think that they basically, and Belichick, meaning they wanted to see if Brady still had it in him. Okay? So instead of trading him in the offseason, he traded him at the trade deadline. Now, obviously, when you trade a player at the trade deadline, you're going to get less than you would at the beginning of the offseason. In the offseason, you would get a lot more for a player than you would in the middle of the season, obviously, right? So that's just the way I look at it. And now everybody is revisionist history. Everybody's looking at this revisionist history, looking at this differently because Jimmy is good. Okay, a lot of people felt that for some reason Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't going to be good. I always thought Jimmy was going to be good. That's why I kept going on and on about how he was good and how whoever gets him is going to be good. Now, the other thing in this is, as Ultra brings up, Bill Belichick is friends with Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan is the dad of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is the first-year head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive mind. Kyle Shanahan is the head coach of the 49ers. And a lot of people feel like Belichick, for whatever reason, went out there and traded Jimmy G to the 49ers for cheap. And he went out there and traded Jimmy G because in spite of Kraft, because apparently Rob Kraft told Bill Belichick that he needed to trade Jimmy Garoppolo because he's keeping Tom Brady. And everybody believes that Bill Belichick didn't want Tom Brady and they wanted to move on from Tom Brady after this season. The only way that makes sense is that, okay, so the only way this makes sense, obviously Belichick would want Brady this season. He's the better quarterback. He's the MVP level quarterback. The only way that would make sense is if you're going to trade Brady after this season and sign Jimmy Garoppolo. Because let's think about this. They're not going to sign both players. They're not going to sign Tom Brady and they're not going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo at the same time. According to this article, which there's been no reports of anything existing, according to this article, the Patriots offered Jimmy Garoppolo $17 million a year, which I believe might even be more than Tom Brady's current contract. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But so they would need to have two starting quarterbacks technically on their roster. That wouldn't happen on a Bill Belichick team. So he would have had to trade one of the people. And everybody assumed that it would be Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, if Belichick wanted to trade Brady, maybe he said to Kraft, hey, after this season, this is the last year with Brady, and I want to trade Brady after this year. And maybe Kraft went to him, no, we're not trading Brady. He's Tom Brady. We're not trading him. He's the greatest player of all time. He's the greatest player in our organization's history. We're not trading Tom Brady. And if that's the way Kraft views it, I say, yeah, that's probably the correct decision. I don't think you should be disrespectful to probably the greatest football player of all time. So you're basically, you should probably just ride it out for the next couple of years because you can always draft another guy. Now, I think that I just think that I don't quite understand the whole Belichick the whole Belichick situation with the Kraft thing. Like if if Kraft, like, think about it, would Kraft just let Belichick sabotage the team? Like, would he just let him sabotage the team by trading Garoppolo, by trading Brissett, and then just leaving? Now there's reports of Belichick wanting to go to the Giants. Like, I think we're stretching this a little bit too far here. So to answer the question of the whole Jimmy G situation, that's the answer. I just think like they maybe waited too long. Maybe they made a mistake, or maybe they just were playing it safe and they wanted a second-round pick. For all we know, I fully believe that Belichick really did like Garoppolo as a quarterback. I do believe that. But even if you're a Patriots fan, you would remember, and I don't know if the NFL fans would remember, but he played last year, obviously, in 2 games. And in one of those games, he did get injured. He did get injured in one of those games. And immediately following that game, people started to question Jimmy Garoppolo as the long-term solution to the team's problems because he's injury prone, apparently. So there was those questions last year, and now all of a sudden Jimmy Garoppolo is the next Tom Brady. All of a sudden. Okay? So I don't know. Like, really, it's a tough question to answer with the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. I just think they needed to trade him because they weren't going to sign him. To keep things simple, they weren't going to sign him because they still felt Tom Brady was the best decision for the football team, and they felt that they could draft a quarterback in the next 2 years to replace Tom Brady, and then they would be well off in that situation. Now, it's interesting that the Patriots did trade both Garoppolo and Brissett, but I really do think that they traded Brissett just because they felt like that wasn't the answer. They didn't feel like Brissett was the answer to their future solution. They felt like Brissett didn't fit the system. They felt like he wasn't a good enough quality quarterback to play for their team. And he's okay. We've seen him with the Colts, a pretty bad team. He's played pretty well, but I feel like Brissett didn't fit their system. And I think that's the same way they felt from what I heard from Belichick and what I've basically been following from the team. They weren't a huge fan of Brissett as the long-term solution. They traded him. They really like Garoppolo, but they were just in an uncomfortable situation where they had to trade him because they couldn't afford both of them. So that's my answer to the Jimmy G situation. Now, there's the whole situation with Tom Brady, and the article starts off by talking about the Tom Brady, Brandon Cooks thing, and the McDaniels thing on the sideline. When I was at this game, okay, I was at this game. It was the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. I was at this game. Tom Brady screamed at Josh McDaniels on the sideline. We've seen this multiple times. I never thought anything of this because Tom Brady regularly does this. I've seen probably every Patriots game for the past 10 years, at least, and I've seen Brady do this more than one time. And the solution, and it says it in this article, many rationalizing this as a symptom of Brady's legendary competitiveness. The Patriots are a team that chases championship. The Patriots never want one flaw, okay? Brady and McDaniels obviously like each other. If they didn't like each other, they wouldn't have lasted this long as offensive coordinator and quarterback. McDaniels would have left. McDaniels would have became a head coach. He very well could. He very well has been able to the last couple of years. If he didn't like Brady, he would have left, okay? This situation, Brady is competitive. We've seen it a number of times where he throws shit on the sidelines, where he yells at people, and he's also done this with Bill O'Brien, who was the offensive coordinator before Josh McDaniels. He had the same situation happen, yet there was no stories about that because, again, everybody just summed it up for being the Patriots are perfectionists and Tom Brady is competitive. That's the way it goes, and that's the answer to that. I don't understand why people are making that out to be such a big deal. Then they go on to talk about, okay, Brady is a different person, and Brady has made a decision to basically, Brady is basically making a decision to put business into his life now. So this article is trying to make Tom Brady look like a bad guy because Tom Brady is 40 years old. Think about this for a sec. This article is trying to make Tom Brady look like a bad guy because he's 40 years old and he wants to think about life outside of football. Think about that for a second. This article, again, is making Brady look like a bad guy because he wants business outside of football when he's 40 years old. He only has 2 more years to play, okay? He only has 2 more years to play, and they're blaming him in this article for actually thinking about for writing a book and for teaming up with Alex Guerrero, for, creating this business for himself, for extending his brand. If you were Tom Brady, wouldn't you do the same thing? If you were Tom Brady, wouldn't you want to look outside of football and outside the lines and actually say, okay, I'm going to be about 42, 43 years old when I retire. I still have a long life ahead of me. I'm a very healthy guy. I believe I can do something with my business. I'm Tom Brady. I should have a brand set up when I retire so that I can go out there and I can do all this. He did the Madden cover. We've seen a little bit of changes in Tom Brady, granted. But at the same time, wouldn't you be changing as Tom Brady? You just fresh off your 5th Super Bowl. Everybody's claiming you're the greatest of all time. Everybody's talking about your legacy, and everybody's talking about the future of the Patriots, the end of your reign. Wouldn't you be talking to other people like, okay, I want to be set up in the future so that I have business things? If Belichick is mad about that, which I really don't think he is, I think they're greatly exaggerating this. I think the only actual problem within the Patriots that I believe in this article is that Belichick did not like Alex Guerrero being involved with the team. That is the thing that I believe, because Alex Guerrero is not actually like a big doctor. He wasn't actually, the Patriots team doctor. So he was a guy that was outside the organization that was able to look at all the Patriots injury files, everything like that. So I really believe that Belichick didn't like Guerrero, and he just made a mistake of allowing him in the organization to work on his players, to gain a relationship with his organization, and allow him inside to look at the information and the injury reports and all that sort of stuff. So that's the part that I believe the most. That's the part I believe the most, is that Belichick made a mistake and that he wanted Guerrero out. And that's maybe where a little bit of a rift between Brady and Belichick is that Brady loves Guerrero. He's his business partner. He's his trainer. And he is a large part why Brady has been this successful. And Belichick doesn't want him involved with the team. That is perfectly reasonable. But outside of that, I mean, the whole stories about Brady being like a dick and like Rob Kraft, like siding with Brady and Belichick, like trying to implode the team and trying to just destroy the team and then leave. Like, none of that stuff makes sense. It's all exaggerated. This story never actually gives you one person that actually is given a quote. Like, it claims to have 12 to 13, like 12 plus people that have talked about this in the article, but there's no actual names attached to the article. There's no names attached to the quotes. And I just I don't understand why people are going out of their way to believe this stuff. And honestly, I just think, if anything, it's going to make their relationship stronger. You saw at the Super Bowl, there's videos going around now, like of the sound effects that they took at the Super Bowl of Brady and Belichick saying, "I love you," and hugging each other. You really think that these guys hate each other? Like, I mean, how much would it really take for them to hate each other? And the other thing I didn't even mention before is just like, I think it was dumb in the first place for Jimmy Garoppolo to have the same agent as Tom Brady. They have the same agent. So how would you expect for them to get a deal done with the same team having the same agent? Obviously, Don Yee, who is the agent of Garoppolo and Brady, is going to side with Brady. That's his big ticket. That's his big money. If you're Garoppolo, why wouldn't you go out and get a different agent so that you're at least able to compete and try and get a contract? because Jimmy Garoppolo was always set on being a starting quarterback by this season. So he was going to leave no matter what. So Garoppolo forced the hand. Garoppolo basically forced the hand of Belichick and Kraft. And, and that's nothing. I'm not blaming Garoppolo at all. If you want to be a starting quarterback, go somewhere where you can be a starting quarterback. When they drafted him in 2014, they saw Brady's end coming, and Brady exceeded it. We've never seen a 40-year-old quarterback play this well before. So Brady simply exceeded what they thought the expectation was for Tom Brady. They thought his career was going to be over somewhere within 2014, 2015, just like Peyton Manning. It didn't end up happening, and Garoppolo had to leave. So they need to find a new replacement. That's basically my thoughts on that. If you have any other questions, let me know in the chat. There's a lot of people just talking about stuff. Tyler Jones says, I think that this was a fabricated and exaggerated story. I agree as well. Poor Mitch. Patriots are done, says Marcos. They're not done. If anything, I truly believe that, okay, this is what I've been saying to AC, to Kev, to Dylan. I need to see actions. Words never mean anything when it comes to the Patriots. Belichick will spew stuff. Brady will spew stuff. Kraft will say stuff. It never means anything until an action is actually taken. So once I see an action taken, I'll believe it. But until then, I'm not going to believe it. Ultra says, Brady or Belichick, who is to blame more for the dynasty? Do you mean like who is more important? Because I don't know what you mean by blame. Like blame would be a negative connotation. Personally, I think it is pretty close to 50-50. I think if Brady was coached by a different coach, he may not be as good, but I still think he would be great. As for Belichick, if he had a different quarterback, I still think he would be great, but I don't think he might have been as good. And I think that Belichick and Brady is like the perfect marriage. I feel like, let's say if Belichick had another great quarterback, the greatness of the Brady-Belichick combination and the greatness of the Brady-Belichick situation has always been that Brady has allowed Belichick to basically do his thing, and Brady has never gotten in the way of that. And Brady has always been the number one student, and Brady's always been the disciple, and Brady's always been the number one guy to deliver Belichick's message at the player level. So I feel like if there's a lot of different quarterbacks that are great that wouldn't, I feel, be as good with Belichick, because they wouldn't go out of their way. They wouldn't basically lower their ego and devote all their time, like Bill Belichick as a football player, to basically be this great. I feel like there's a special bond and there's a greatness between their relationship. I feel like if Aaron Rodgers, even though Aaron Rodgers is amazing, I feel like their egos would clash with each other, Belichick and Rodgers. I feel like maybe Peyton Manning would have worked, but I always felt like Manning had a different ego when it came to football, and I always felt like it was Manning above everyone else. I just feel like Brady was the perfect match for Belichick, and Belichick was the perfect match for Brady. So I feel like it's very close to 50-50. I do see the arguments for both sides. I personally would say that it's about 60-40 for Belichick, because I would always say that the system that Belichick installed is greater. There's also people that think that it's 70-30 Brady or 80-20 Brady or 60-40 Brady. I would slightly lean towards Belichick for creating this system and for the longevity. But also there's a lot of teams and a lot of years where if they didn't have Brady, they wouldn't have been good. So at the same time, there's a couple years where Belichick was the mastermind, and there's a couple years where Brady bailed Belichick out. So it's tough to really say. And that's why I think they're both the greatest. It is Sean Lee's fault. What's going on, John? Ultra says trading Jimmy G and Brissett was bad. I don't think they should have traded Jimmy G, but at the same time, they kind of had to. So unless you were going to get rid of Brady, that was the only solution. I don't disagree with trading Jimmy G. I just disagree of when they traded Jimmy G. If they were going to trade Jimmy G, they should have traded him in the offseason like I thought they would, but they didn't. Ultra says McDaniels and Patricia are leaving. Probably. I don't know 100%. Go Cowboys says, calm down, y'all 13-3, and y'all act like you're 0-16. It's not that I'm not calm. It's just the reactions and the constant targeting of the Patriots. Patriots don't even play this week. The Patriots are divisional. The Patriots are in the division round already. They got a bye week, and yet they're the team that's being talked about the most. Why can't other teams take the spotlight? Why does ESPN need to go out of their way to target the Patriots for clicks? Like, I don't understand it. Belichick leaving equals no more Patriots dynasty. I would say that the odds of Belichick leaving the Patriots are probably 1% likely. I think that, like, I don't see him leaving whatsoever. Randy Magic Dindy says, blasphemy. I'm a Pats fan and Niners are my team in the NFC. It worked out great. Ultra says he traded Brissett to Indy because Chris Ballard is the Colts GM and Ballard is Andy Reid's friend, someone who Belichick respects. I think he respects Ballard as well, so I would agree with that. Percent of chance Belichick retires after the season. If Brady retires, then Belichick could retire too. So maybe 20%. But I think that Belichick wouldn't retire without a plan in place. And I also think Belichick would give a heads up to Kraft. And I feel like Kraft is the missing piece here. Kraft is too smart to let Belichick leave without a succession plan. Kraft is the best owner in the NFL. I don't think that Kraft would just allow Belichick to do this. Kraft is in on every big decision. So I feel like Belichick wouldn't just get away with destroying the Patriots. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about John Gruden right now. Hunter says, some people on Twitter are really saying there are signs of the end of the Patriots. Yes, because that 13-3, number 1 seed, most likely MVP, sure, are signs of the doom. Exactly. Randy Magic says, yeah, poor Bill got stuck with Brady. I feel bad for him. I mean, come on now. Adam's curse. Yeah, don't even bring that up. I'm sure the Pats will be fine. What I said, it's Belichick to the Niners. There's already Shanahan there. That's not going to happen. It's fake news, says the legend. Yeah, it's a bullshit article, says Randy. People always want to make Brady look like the bad guy. That's interesting. It's just funny to me how the article paints Belichick as a saint and Brady as like a devil. And I like both guys. I love both guys. But like to paint one as the devil and one as a saint is kind of weird. I feel like both have made their wrong decisions. Both have had points in their career where they've looked bad. And I don't think that either one of them should be solely for, the success, solely for the blame. Craig says, without Belichick, the Pats are fucked. Brady is not a bad guy at all, says Tyler Jones. What else? Tom Brady and Hulk Hogan, they're both immortal. Exactly. Is he related to Eddie Guerrero? No, he's not. Okay, what else we got? T. Clark says, I believe it when I see it. If Brady were to win another one, he should retire like Peyton on taunt. Nothing else to prove. See, if that was the case, I feel like Garoppolo would have stayed, right? Because Garoppolo would have known that Brady would retire. I think the friction comes when maybe Brady didn't tell Belichick that he might retire this offseason, or maybe Belichick didn't tell Kraft that he's retiring, or maybe, there's a number of different things that could have happened in this situation. And nobody knows except for Brady, Kraft, and Belichick. But if Brady were to retire, they would have a succession plan in place. That's why I believe that there is little chance that Brady or Belichick retire. If Brady's going to retire, we will see the first sign at the draft this year. Because if the Patriots draft a quarterback in the first round or the second round, then boom, Brady's going to retire this season or next season, and Belichick's going to retire this season or next season. And there's this whole story about how, people floating rumors out there that Belichick wants Brady to go because he wants to prove his legacy outside of Brady. It's a bunch of crazy shit. And I don't think Belichick would really want to start over at this point. I feel like he's too old. Randy says he will keep playing. Got to win one with both Gronk and Jules. Well, hopefully that's next season. Tyler Jones says Manning was a mark for himself. What else we got here? Ultra says, Mitch, I have a question. Peyton Manning in 2013 led the greatest offense ever and looked fantastic through 11 games in 2014, 2015, but struggled the rest of the year, and 2015 was horrible. A lot of that was because of the injury, and he got a couple of other injuries down that line that we saw. Like in 2014, he got another injury, which set him completely off path, and then he just never recovered. And also with Peyton, you saw his deep ball and his arm strength really regressing fast those couple of seasons. With Brady, I feel like his arm strength is the same it's been for the past 5 years. It may even be better. Like this season, this is the best Tom Brady's thrown the deep ball I've seen in 5 years. This is the best deep ball Brady I've seen in a long time, since probably 2010. So for me to say that means that I still believe Brady has a couple seasons left in him. He would have to get injured at this point. In my opinion, he would have to I'm going to touch wood. He would have to get injured for him to drastically drop off the cliff, because it seems like Brady is playing just as good as he did last year, just as good as the year before, maybe even better, than a few seasons ago. I really feel like it's interesting, because if you would have told me in 2013 that Brady would still be playing now, I'd probably say no, because in 2013, I feel like 2013 Brady was worse than 2017 Brady. So it's tough. I feel like Brady kind of, ever since 2015-ish, 2014-ish, he went back up, and he's been getting better and better and better since that point. So it's interesting. Brady in 2016 was great, except for the playoffs against Houston, and for two half quarters against Atlanta. Brady was great in 2017 till the McDaniels thing, and struggled since. Is Brady declining? No, I just answered that question. Brady staying at least 2 more years. Bodo says, yeah, but Mitch, Pats don't need to draft a quarterback in the first couple of rounds. They know how to draft. They're like the Spurs. I think they need to draft in the first couple of rounds. It's rare that you find a quarterback in the bottom rounds. Very rare. Nathan says Vikings versus New England Patriots. Why do people think Bill will go to the Giants? Because Bill used to be the defensive coordinator for the Giants in the 1980s, and he has a very strong relationship with the Giants organization. He used to coach under Bill Parcells there. He has a soft spot in his heart there. It's not going to happen. Elvin Stewart says Pats all the way. James says, honestly, how many more good years left do you actually think Brady has? I think 2. I think when he retires, he's still going to be good. I think when he retires, he might not be the best quarterback or the second or third best, but he's still going to be in the top 10. Unless he gets hurt. I think he has probably 2 more years after this year. So next year and the year after that, and he should retire. Randy says Vikings D is scary. Hope they get knocked off. T. Clark says, I get what you're saying, but it's a business. So Belichick might have had his hands tied. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Jimmy G shouldn't have got traded, in my opinion. I believe that's possible. So, T. Clark, I want you to answer this question. Would you have traded Brady? That's my question to you. Bodo says, well, think about it from Belichick's perspective, Clark. Okay, because you're Bill Belichick. Let me check how old Bill Belichick is. Bill Belichick is 65 years old. You have Tom Brady. Let's say he's a top 5 quarterback the next 3 years, including this year and the next 2 years. And Brady is projected to be a top 5 quarterback. Would you trade Brady, or would you take the chance of a Jimmy Garoppolo who's only ever played 2 games that you've seen? He's played 2 games. You've seen a lot of training camp and stuff, but he's only actually played 2 games. Would you have rather traded Brady or kept Garoppolo? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. James says, and why would Bill give up Jimmy G for a second rounder? Let's be honest, there are teams who would have given up multiple. The reason why he had to give him up for a second round is he traded him at the trade deadline, which I said was a mistake. They should have traded Jimmy G in the offseason. Well, that's not answering my question, Clark. Would you retain Brady or Belichick? I don't know how long Belichick plans on coaching for. And why is this even a decision? Can you ask me that? Why? Answer me that. Why is this a decision? Why can't we keep both of them? I want to keep both of them and get rid of Jimmy. That's what I would have done. I would have gotten rid of Jimmy this offseason for a first-round pick, and then I would have kept Brady, because I don't think you can trade Brady. I just think, yeah, you could trade him, but I don't think that, you would look bad. Belichick would look bad. Kraft would look bad. Boston loves Tom Brady. You can't trade Tom Brady. So that's my opinion. I think that Belichick was caught in a place where an old player like Brady, he would have usually traded him. But because he was Tom Brady, they wouldn't trade. They couldn't trade him. That's the thing. I don't think, how do you know they would have given up 2 first-round picks? We never know that. We don't know that. We don't know that. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. If you have any more questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at Mitch Milani, Milani on Twitter. It's also in the description, Mitch Milani. Check that out. You can follow me there, and you can ask me questions if you have any more questions, but I got to go. So thanks, guys, for being here and discussing the Patriots rant. I just did a rant. Patriots, end of the dynasty, Brady, Kraft, Belichick, the whole gossip, the whole drama. So hope you guys have a good night. We're going to be back here tomorrow for our live discussion. If you have any more questions about the Patriots or about anything else football-wise, tomorrow, the live stream before the Chiefs game will be on at 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern, myself, Kev, and probably Dylan will be on tomorrow discussing the games, the Patriots, the whole situation, the whole NFL. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. It's Mitch once again, and have a good night. Peace out.